I think we're starting. Cool. Okay. This is a live stream. Ooh, we are 10 seconds in. 6, 7. Oh, okay. Welcome. What are we doing this for? Why am I using plural when it's just me? That's a valid question. So, we'll continue with the reading of the book, but first I need to do my toenails and tell you everything that you missed. And by you, I mean me, because, we all know that this is for me in order to create the self acceptance. Ooh. And this is like a full time job. So, let's start with the nails. I think this one, yeah. So it's like first I have to put the base layer, and then you won't be able to see it because my toes are like too low. Plus, it will be like totally different kind of video. I think probably for a little different platform, which I should actually consider because like why not? Right. So I have converted to Judaism yesterday. That's a biggie. And this is actually awesome. I feel like fantastic. It's been a long journey for me. And yesterday it became like official. So my name still remains Dina because it's as Jewish as they come. However, it's like very popular everywhere. But when I went to Jerusalem first time, and so far the only time, they were not surprised to hear my name. And they spelled it nicely, and I like how they spelled it in Hebrew. And they didn't. I didn't have to repeat myself or spell it out because it's kind of normal, common. So I'm looking forward to going to Jerusalem again. And this is on par with the self-acceptance as well, yeah, because like your name is not being questioned, which is like a minor thing, to be honest. Nonetheless, it's like, yeah, my name is Dina. And in Jerusalem, it doesn't bear any further questions. So yesterday there was like the massive interview with the Beit Din, the panel of judges. And there was a very nice conversation. And there were like 3 people on the panel. And one of them, Rachel, who traveled from another city to London, she gave the best hug. She hugged me so tight. That was like really, really cool. Yeah, that was real. I'm into like authenticity and like all this real shit, really. So that was absolutely marvelous. The how she hugged me. She meant it. That's how hugs should be. She should be like in the dictionary entry against good hugs. It should be her picture. Rachel. So where am I going with that? Yeah, so I texted my friend Daniel and we celebrated. And how we celebrated, I got really drunk. That was the plan. So alcoholism is a very pleasant. It's a joke. It's not. It's a disease. However, having a drink with a friend, it's very nice. I don't remember. I literally don't remember when I drank last time. A year ago, easy, probably more. But because I like structure, and at some point a few years ago, I decided that, yeah, when I was like big into Paris, I decided that August is for rosé, Côte de Provence. It's not really August, but it's close. So that's what I drank yesterday. And oh God, it was like so good. And it was a perfect London summer night. And it involved moving from the restaurant. First of all, I left my phone in the bathroom. Yeah, which was like, oh. And that actually happened even before I started drinking. So whatever is happening with my cognitive abilities, is it like early cognitive decline? Or maybe not so early. Maybe it's like cognitive decline full stop. Um, yeah, I went to the bathroom when I first arrived. And I don't remember what I was thinking. Well, the only thing I was high on Judaism. That's kind of the reason. So after actually the let me rewind a little bit. After the mikvah, I went home, but I really didn't want to go home. So I went to Camden, had lunch, found a bike, cycled back, logged in into work actually because I'm playing this thing with a bunch of people. I did take a day off, but nonetheless, I logged in, had a conversation with people, logged out, felt like I needed a nap, had a nap. Uh, well, a little ASMR kind of nap. Didn't work because like I was too buzzed. Uh, took a meeting, cycled to Soho for a quick yoga class. It was like, just like nothing to write home about, just like, the yoga class. Dressed up. I in this sort of on the quest of radical self acceptance, you dress up. Yeah, because I have no way of explaining it. Honestly, why the fuck? Oh, forgive me. I'm speaking louder. I'm sort of projecting when I do it. Like, I'm streaming right now. So I am making my voice sound what I think is better than what it normally be. Maybe more considerate, a little bit more. I'm making an effort. Yeah, the power of video camera. Because when I normally speak, I'm less meaningful. But like, this effort of radical self-acceptance, I put on a dress. I didn't put on makeup. Same again, because yeah, I decided that whatever I do is fine. And it works both on negative and positive affirmation. If I don't want to put a makeup on, it's fine. If I want to put a really revealing dress on and very high heels, that's fine. My rationale on that is actually physics, because nobody cares. Why is it physics though? Because nobody is observing. It only makes. No, I don't know where to go with that. It's kind of earlier today when that thought popped into my head. That made sense, but I forgot it. I lost it. Nonetheless, it's like as long as you don't do anything that actively harms others, there is nothing you can do to be or do wrong. Basically, everything is fine. Be nice to outside environment and people occupying that in my environment. Somebody is calling. Hello? That was a waste of time. Uh, Where are we going with? I forgot what I was saying. Ugh. Anyways, so drinking is very pleasant, but I'm guessing, like, if you do it like every day, that becomes less pleasant. So, one of the best parts of this event, of yesterday's event, was the walk home in the nights, warm summer nights. The best part of London, crossing the bridges. One bridge, really, but like, yeah. So I love that. I really love that. I think I'm moving to LA soon, and I think that's like, I want to insert so much joy and happiness and like the best of London before I go. Uh, yeah. So that's what I'm working on. Oh, all right. We are still streaming. So this morning when I woke up, I felt like tired because of all the drinking, I guess. But very, very happy. So now that I'm a Jew, the thing is, like, I have always considered myself a Jew. Well, for a very long time. Since I've decided that I'm going to be a Jew, I've decided that I'm going to feel like a Jew. But now I'm sort of officially allowed to feel that too. And this is dope. This is like, I don't know, subtle change or really not so subtle change. I feel accomplished, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Or it's like, it's okay now. Somehow it's okay. Everything is okay right now. And it is going to be okay. Sort of allow yourself, give yourself permission to be okay with everything, and everything will be okay with you. I have no idea what's happening. It feels good. Am I expecting to feel like this all the time? But I am expecting to feel content. I imagine that, there will be quests and challenges that I will need to overcome and problem to solve. And I'm going to do that. I mean, but I also want to maintain this cheerful attitude and, like, try and remember how it feels right now. With the help of my tools that I have. This is very subtle. I do not feel lonely. I do not have many people in my life, but, like, the ones I have, that's enough. This is probably for the first time I'm realizing that what I have is enough. Like, as in, I am enough, and what I have is enough. I am painting my nails because I had to go to a nail salon on Monday and remove my gel paint off my toes. Because in order to go into mikvah for after the acceptance, you need to be sort of as naked as possible, and it includes the coverage of your nails. So I needed to ensure that there is nothing between me and the water, like, that sort of stops me. This is like a ritual, which is, like, really cool. And so I went to the nail salon on Monday and got it all removed. And now I'm repainting it myself. It's going to be not as nice as what they do in the salon, because first of all, it's not gel. It's like, but it's like pretty. It's going to be pink. Yeah, you can't see it because it's like beyond the camera, and I'm not going to lift my legs and my toes to show you, but that's where we are. Okay, now they're gonna dry, and we're gonna read and comment, and maybe see. Okay, there is some text. So I will later. Okay, glasses. And the book, if you remember, which you do because you are me. Oh, this is dope. This is seriously. This is for one reason and one reason only. To feel okay with being enough. This is a book, and where we are. We just start where we left off. The solidarity is what I love about it. All of them deciding it was time to go and then setting up together. She tried for she loved Richard Rorty's writings on solidarity and had no trouble applying it to squirrels. Probably in a blind panic, burning with mange. Mange? I don't know what mange is, except for manger in French, but in mange. Oh, hold on. I need a dictionary somewhere. Okay, I am going to open up a dictionary. Mange, meaning. Oh, it's a skin disease of mammals caused by parasitic mites and occasionally communicable to humans. It is characterized by severe itching, hair loss, and the formation of scabs and lesions. Foxes can get mange. Okay. Probably in a blind panic, burning with mange. Paul. I don't have the same feeling about squirrels, Web. This was upsetting for some reason. Although Paul wasn't the only person who thought squirrels were nasty, furry bastards with talons like birds and the cold hearts of reptiles. Even Beatrix Potter's The Tale of Squirrel Nutkin, a classic of children's literature by an introverted woman who generally adored small animals, offered up a pesky idiot squirrel who riddles a landed authority figure into a fury. But was Nutkin as frivolous as he was made out to be? She had a few theories about that. I'm trying to test words better with or without glasses. She had a few theories about that. Thorsten Veblen would say people hate squirrels, she called up to him, because that's the only way to motivate expenditures on them, such as buying traps or guns. Is the same up patriotic emotionalism because it justifies expenditures for defense. What? He took the sleek apparatus in his grasping hands, then was back on the chair, stuffing it somewhere in the dark near the hatch. He said, I'll check it every day. You won't have to think about it. I'll take it up in the hills where it will live happily ever after, okay? Whatever, just do it, she said, biting into her arm. In addition, in biting herself, another way Veblen dealt with emotional distress was to fixate on ideological concerns. Unhappy that Paul was stuffing a trap into her attic, she registering a loss of control that would come with a growing relationship and further compromise. She began to think bitterly about how phenomena in the natural world no longer inspired reverence and reflection, but translated instead into excuses for shopping sprees. Squirrels equals trap. Winter's ragged hand equals outdoor world. Summer's dog days rained equals target. Same with traditions. Marriage was preceded by the longest shopping list of all, second only to the one after the birth of offspring. Paul, take this trap. You imputed with Awesomeness because you acquitted it and you now believe it's the crystallization of your desires. Can you bring me a piece of cheese or something? She trudged into the kitchen to look for a snack a squirrel might not enjoy. She had an idea. Veblen, he called. Coming. A piece of bread is fine. Okay, just a minute. Shortly she carried in a plate with her shortly she carried in a plate with her offering. What's that? Asked Paul, peering down. Sauerkraut sprinkled with mace. Why? I hear they love it, said Veblen. She heard him set the plate into the trap with a clap. They spent the afternoon walking and talking about all they were about to face. It would come back to her later that Paul barely mentioned his family that day. Instead, he talked a lot about his vision of their material future. The signing bonus for the trial and stock from Hatchmarker Pharmaceuticals would allow them to buy a house. You don't want to stay in mine? She asked, surprised. She loved her house. Her own vision of the furniture was of her own vision of the future was of happiness in the air. Something was baking. Children were playing games. There were flowers, and substantial birds were singing in their nests. I was living with someone who was laughing. Paul gave a sample of laughter. That works, she said. She was still very pleased with her little house, and now she'd found it. Nearly 5 years ago, having finally escaped from home, she'd been sleeping in her old Volvo by the San Francisquito Creek and checking out listings by the dozens for days. She'd seen rooms in dingy, greasy-smelling houses in Mountain View, tiny dark rooms in houses full of guffawing male engineering students. Guffawing? I don't know how to pronounce it, and right now, I don't want to know how to pronounce it. Guffawing. Okay. And a room in the house of a high school science teacher filled with exercise machines. It was a warm night in September that night. She had a soulful bottle of beer and a slice of pizza on University Avenue, then walked to the neighborhood in the glow of dusk, down streets named for famous poets. Lowell and Byron and Homer and Kipling and the tormented half-mad Italian poet Torquato Tasso. She crunched the sycamore and magnolia and locust leaves on the sidewalk. Just before she reached the end, where the street met the arroyo, she passed a small house so overgrown with vines that the windows were no longer visible. The yard was neck-high with weeds and ivy and morning glory, and in the gentle air of evening she heard the flap of a trap on the roof, laid over the old shingles to protect them from rain. The chimney was missing a few bricks. Swathes of animal hair. Oh, swatches of animal hair. Swatches of animal hair. Okay, swatches. That I'm curious. Meaning, definition. I'm just getting the swatch. A small sample of fabric intended to demonstrate the look of a larger piece. Call as swatches. Swatches. Apply a sample of to a surface or one skin to test or demonstrate the color swatches. Okay, so that means like swatches of animal hair, small samples, were mixed in the litter of leaves up the walkway as if various creatures regularly rolled on their backs there and stretched out in the sun. The sight of the abandoned house, or possibly the dwelling of an old eccentric, filled her with warmth and hope. And perhaps because she lingered there thinking how this might be a positive instance of absentee ownership, she fated her meeting with the person who came down the narrow driveway between the two bungalows from a yard choked with the summer's industry of honeysuckle and jasmine. This was Donald Chester, wearing his grubby Stanford sweatshirt stained with motor oil and paint. He was a retired engineer who'd grown up only a few blocks away in the 1930s and attended the university as a day student before, during, and after World War II. Palo Alto wasn't always so swank, he told her. Back then, a settlement of hobos camped around the giant sequoia by the train station. Rough wooden shacks off Lytton Avenue housed kids who went without shoes, and rabbits were raised in hutches in the grassy fields behind them for supper. Before the university came in 1896, sheep, goats, horses, and mules grazed on ranch land. And before that, when the Spanish began to deed land grants, tool gathering tribes swept through the tidal flats in bunched canoes, fleeing missionaries. If his parents, who'd struggled through the depression eating rabbits and mending their socks until there was no more sock to mend, only the mending, could have seen that happen to dreamy old Palo Alto, they'd get a real kick out of it. Yes, Donald Chester knew the owner of the wreckage next door. She was an elderly woman who lived in New York with her daughter, who would neither let go of the house she'd lived in as a daughter, as a young bride, nor maintain it. And Veblen said that was good. To her, it looked enchanted. To which he said, "Let's see what you think after you look inside," and brought out some flashlights. It was one of those magical strokes of luck that a person enjoys once or twice in a lifetime and marvels at ever after. She followed him behind the place where there was a modest garage built for a Motel T, with the original wooden door with a sash, followed by termites like cactus wood. The back door hung loose off its hinges, and a musty odor surrounded them in the kitchen. Old cracked linoleum squeaked underfoot. A bank of dirt had formed on the windowsill, growing grass. But the huge old porcelain sink was intact, and the old tiles under layers of slate silt were beautiful. Donald Chester laughed and said she must have a great deal of imagination. In the living room, water stains covered the ceiling like the buttons in a mosque. In the mosque, she told him about the house in Cobb and the fixing she and her mother did to get it in shape, all by themselves. She'd been only 6 when she and her mother moved in, but they'd worked side by side for weeks. She knew how to transform a place, wait and see. Donald Chester took down her number and said he doubted anything would come of it, but he'd give her a call. And the very next day he did. The widow took a fancy to the idea of a single woman fixing it up. She priced the place nostalgically, a rent about the same as a single room. As a single rooms. As single rooms. Veblen sobbed with disbelief. She'd saved up enough money over the past few years to get the whole thing off the ground. She loved the tiger lilies, which were out. She kissed them on their creepy cheeks, got pollen on her chin. For the next week, she started on the place at dawn, ripping vines off the windows, digging dirt from the ground, hosing the walls. One day, Albertine came down to help. They piped, they pried open the windows to let the fresh air and barreled through the place with a shop vac. Another day, Veblen climbed onto the roof and tore off the top and discovered the leaks and patched them. It wasn't rocket science. She cleaned the surface of every wall with TSP and every tile with bleach and painted every room. Then she rented a sanding machine and took a thin layer from the oak floors, finishing them with linseed oil and turpentine. Turpentine. Don't want to look it up. She kept a fan blowing to dry the paint and the floors all day long. Oh, you know what I forgot? I need to put the washing machine on. Oh, and I think I did. However, yeah, I need to start it. Okay. Okay. Done. We are in business. Okay. My friend is asking me, do you know anyone there from your time in Russia? I hear that former Soviets are about 1 million in Israel today. And I'm going to respond, no, anyone in Israel. In Israel from Russia, from my time in Russia. That's a very funny way of putting it because, like, I was born there, right? From my time in Russia, but it's kind of legit. Um, in Russia, why is it like a constant battle with like T9? It's just changed Russia to Tasha. Okay, I booked the tickets and I booked the hotel. Okay. Also, the plan is finish this recording. So what do we have? We have another 25 minutes of recording. Then I'll take the meeting, go to yoga, 2 classes. Then I come back, have another meeting here. I need to do some coding at some point today. It has to be on the list. It is on the list, and I actually need to do it. Okay. Where are we? Donald Chester pitched in. He lent her tools and brought her tall tumblers of iced tea with wedges of lemon from his tree. You like to work hard, he remarked when Veblen came out of the house one day covered in white dust. In the kitchen, the old refrigerator needed a thorough scrubbing, but the motor worked, and the old Wedgwood stove better than worked. The clawfoot tub in the bathroom had rust stains, but they didn't bother her very much. The toilet needed a new float and chain, no big deal. She had the utilities changed to her name. She played her radio day and night, and by the fifth night, give or take, A few creaking floorboards and windows were stubborn sashes. With stubborn sashes, the house welcomed her. The transformation absorbed her for months to come, as if she'd written a symphony or a wonderful book or painted a small masterpiece, and she'd stayed on these last 5 years despite the hellbent growth all around, conveniently located halfway between each parent in her outpost on one of the last untouched corners of old Palo Alto. One day, the window of her daughter would get an offer. Oh, one day the widow or her daughter would get an offer they couldn't refuse, but for now it was hers. The two buildings had never been remodeled or added onto and provided the same standard of shelter as they had when built in 1920, which was pretty good, plenty good. Now, a week did not go by when real estate agents didn't cram business cards into the mail slots, hoping to capture the deeds and promptly have the little house bulldozed. She and Donald liked to feel they were taking a stand. For her first meal on Tassa Street, she boiled a large, tough artichoke from Castroville and ate it with a scoop of best foods mayonnaise. She listened to an opera on the radio, live from San Francisco La Boheme, surrounded by the smell of fresh paint and linseed oil. The smooth floors, the clean glass, the perception of space to grow into, she was too excited to sleep. As she often was at night now, with Paul beside her, sharing simple meals and discussing the day's events, waking up together with plans for the future, these things felt practically like an alien when you were used to being on your own. And so, what about wedding? What about a wedding? Where? How soon? There was a huge catalog of decisions to make all of a sudden. If you were normal, Veblen couldn't help thinking. Part of her wanted to do all the normal bridally things, and the other part wanted to embrace her disdain for everything of the sort. That morning, a lump of cinnamon twist stuck in her throat. Another gulp of coffee ushered it down. Paul, she said, I'm super excited about this getting married idea, but there's a lot about me you don't know. That better be, he said warmly. So it makes sense for the tips of icebergs to fall in love without knowing anything about the bottom parts. Well, I think we are doing pretty well with the bottom parts. She wrinkled her nose, but she went for something small. Sometimes I sleepwalk. Did you know that? You haven't done that so far? And if I'm around free food, I eat too much. Paul shrugged. Okay, maybe we should go meet my mother soon, she said, biting a fold of her inner cheek. That sounds great, said Paul. We definitely should. Could he really be so accepting? Or was he just acting that way for now? And in what ways was she acting? Could you look at all interactions that way, as a presentation of herself and advertisement of sorts? Oh, cut it out, she told herself. Okay, I think this is all for today. And let's see if we have inclination and energy to try and do this again tomorrow. Thank you for being with me, my dear. And I mean me. Okay, lots of love. Here you go. Okay, this is ending the stream now.